The man, the myth, the legend of ESPN, he has turned himself into a cottage industry. The host and reporter from ESPN on MMA, podcaster, and Bills/Knicks fan, Ariel Helwani here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Ariel?
I'm doing great, Rich. How are you? I'm very envious of you. You got to talk to three of my favorite players yesterday. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out well for us on Sunday night, but I'm very proud of my Buffalo Bills, and we will be back. You heard it here first.
I appreciate that, Ariel. Yeah, Chris Brockman, he direct messaged me during game day morning as I was interviewing Jim Kelly,
right in the middle,
Thurman Thomas, and Andre Reed. So, you're diehard. So, look, man, it's just not your time. It's kind of like being caught up in a moment in time that is bad timing, sort of like Ewing when Jordan was around. I mean, because
I feel the same way.
And it's the crazy thing is that Brady is now out of the division and out of the conference, and he may be that for Mahomes. Still, it's kind of crazy when you think about it.
It is, yeah, and he's 24. And I feel like we'll see him again. But look, he stumbled in the AFC Championship, of course, against an older team a couple years ago, and we stumbled yesterday. And I'll say we because I've been on this train with the Bills since 1990 when I saw Scott Norwood go wide right against the Giants. But I will say just very quickly, I know you didn't have me on to talk about the Bills.
No, it's all good.
I will forever be in debt to Coach McDermott, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, that entire team, because it's tough times here, Rich. And as you know, sports is the ultimate escape.
Yep.
And, I miss my family back home in Canada. And to have this team do what they did this year, and as a father now for the first time, getting to watch games with my sons who are wearing a Diggs and Allen jersey, and even my 6-year-old son sat with me until the end yesterday, and he saw how sad I was. And that's how I fell in love with this team, when my heart was broken by them. And it's just an amazing thing. So I will forever be thankful to those guys for giving us what they gave us this, fall and winter. And I can't wait to see where they go from here. No, we're not sad today. We're happy because it happened. And I think the future is very bright for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, the Bills have got Josh Allen and Diggs and McDermott, and so many pieces are in place. Now you know which team to target to actually try and put your team together to help surpass. I just love the fact, too, is we're, talking to Bills Mafia with Ariel Helwani right here. I love the fact that Diggs was standing out there, the only Bill out there standing watching the Chiefs celebrate with the trophy named after their founder. I just love everything about Stephon Diggs. I love that, man.
Made
that
me cry
great.
Seeing that. And then to see McDermott come out and console him. And I saw another clip today of Josh going up to every single player. It was like a 3-minute clip, and hugging them, and you see the love that they have for him as well, and the respect. This young man has come a long way over the past 3 years, even dating back to last year's playoff where he looked shell-shocked in Houston. I'm just so proud of these guys, and I'm proud to be a Bills fan. When I was a kid, I was tormented for being a Bills fan because I have 2 older brothers who are Cowboys fans, and we were the boy I love losing Super Bowl team, right? Everyone used to make fun of us. Those days are over. We're no longer a laughing stock. The Bills will be back. I have no doubt about it.
Ariel Helwani here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get into the bread and butter. Let's go back into our lane, if in that respect. What happened with Conor McGregor over the weekend? What happened?
Conor McGregor fought a really, really good fighter. There is no shame in losing to Dustin Poirier. You can make the claim that he's the second best lightweight in the world, and it's important to note lightweight because that's the best division in MMA right now, certainly in the UFC, the most stacked by far. It really bothered me when this fight was first announced, and I get it. Conor brings out casual fans who don't follow the sport as closely as the hardcores, and certainly not myself, and I saw a lot of people saying, why is he fighting a guy who he beat in less than 2 minutes 6.5 years ago? What's the point in this? You hardly see fights like this in boxing. And I wanted people to know Dustin Poirier was a much different fighter today on Saturday than the guy who Conor fought 6.5 years ago. He's improved incredibly, and not just from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint as well. The guy who fought Conor 6.5 years ago was, a bit immature and let Conor get in his head, under his skin. And we saw on Saturday that he's a tremendous fighter. And so the better man won. He had an amazing game plan. Everyone said he had to take him down early. He did. Clinch with him. He did. And then he attacked that lead leg. Those calf kicks are just insanely dangerous. And you saw what happened. Conor could hardly stand up. So he had the great game plan. Conor, mentioned that he was rusty, didn't offer any excuses. And so maybe they'll do it again. But, make no mistake about it, this wasn't Buster Douglas. This was Conor losing to a fighter who is just as good as he is.
Is Conor as good as he was? How about that for a question, losing 2 out of his last 3? How about that one, Ariel?
It's a fair question. I mean, it's worth noting that going into this fight, he fought for a collective 40 seconds dating back to October of 2018. I do believe that cage rust, ring rust is a real thing. You're just, and meanwhile, Poirier is fighting 2-3 times a year, and he's usually fighting, 10, 15, 25-minute fights. Like, this guy gets into brawls. So I'm not ready at 32 years old to write off Conor McGregor. You'll recall back in 2016, he lost to Nathan Diaz. He dusted himself off, and then he came back and beat him, and then followed that performance up with his best performance ever against Eddie Alvarez at Madison Square Garden. So I think he'll be back. In fact, I just got off the Zoom, if you will. I was going to say phone, but it was Zoom, with his head coach, John Kavanagh, and he told me that they want Dustin trilogy fight in May, this time for the vacant title. So he has already decided what he wants next. Now we'll see if the UFC obliges. But this man wants to get right back on the horse, and it's very reminiscent to 2016. The day after he lost to Diaz, he said, I want him again. Let's make it happen. So we'll see if he can right this wrong.
Okay, but we've never seen that trilogy, right? So what's next for both of these fighters, Ariel?
So I think Conor is going to be very persuasive about doing it again right away. Third fight, Dustin versus Conor 3. I would be shocked if the UFC doesn't listen. There's a lot of money to be made there. I think you could sell it very easily. You got 2 guys who are 1-1 against each other, so that's an option. Obviously, Conor versus Nate 3 is an option as well. You could sell that one really easily. You got the trilogy fight. They're both coming off losses now, so they could get back on track. Nate is out there campaigning for Dustin, and they were supposed to fight 2 years ago, so you can obviously sell that. There's bad blood. There's a guy named Charles Oliveira who deserves a crack at the belt. He could be an option. What I know for sure is this. The UFC has options, and that's a great spot to be in. I do believe that Dustin's next fight should be for the vacant title. Khabib Nurmagomedov is the current lightweight champion, but he has made it very clear he wants to retire. I think we should respect his wishes. He wants to retire because his dad passed away last year, and his mom has asked him to walk away. Respect that. Let him give up the title. Dustin should fight for the belt next. He should probably be the champion already. That fight on Saturday should have been for the belt, but let him fight for the vacant title, and let's keep this division rolling along.
Ariel Helwani here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's with Jon Jones gaining 30 pounds? What are we gleaning from all of this, Ariel?
He looks good. He wants to move up to heavyweight, so he gave up his title. He gave up his light heavyweight belt. There's a new champion there named Jan Blachowicz. He's fighting Israel Adesanya. Your guy, Izzy Adesanya. He's fighting him on March 6th. And so they just officially finalized a heavyweight title fight between the champions Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou. That's a rematch of a fight that happened in 2018. That's going to be an amazing fight. That's March 27th. John will fight the winner of that fight, I would say August, September or so. And what a huge fight that will be. Jon Jones, who in my opinion has never lost. He has 1 loss on his record, but it was a DQ, and it shouldn't have been a DQ. It was a mistake by the referee. Moving up to heavyweight for the first time, essentially undefeated, going up against the champion, either Stipe, who's the greatest heavyweight champion in UFC history, or Francis, who hits like a freaking, like a Mack truck. I mean, the guy is just insane. That's big business for the UFC. So they've got a lot of big fights pretty much at their doorstep in 2021. Let's see if they can, make them all happen.
Israel Adesanya, that's how you, because when he came here, he's like Adesanya. Did he change it, or did I just botch it in front of his face and he never corrected me? What about that one?
He's a mensch, Rich, as you know. The guy, he's a good man, and we have sort of Americanized it.
Okay.
Israel Adesanya.
Okay, Adesanya. So Israel is my guy. We're referring to him as my guy just because he said he wanted to.
I heard you're a big fan.
Well, I'm a huge fan. Look, anybody who comes on my show and keeps dropping the sound bites that he drops, talking about wanting to scrape his manhood across the face of Jon Jones in the home of the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, he had me at hello. Pretty much, Ariel, to be honest with you.
Rich, I feel like you have unlocked a whole new world here. Don't you realize when you have fighters on and when you talk fighting, do you realize that the clips always do way better than the traditional sports? These fight fans are starved for mainstream broadcasters and mainstream shows such as yourself and your show to shed a light on these individuals. And can we be honest? For the most part, aren't they all fantastic interviews?
Oh, Ariel.
You don't get a lot of cliche, right?
No, you are, by the way, +1. I am all in on that. I mean, we had Ryan Garcia the other day, and the King dropped that he, once again, that he plans to retire at age 26 to get all negativity out of the world. And I kind of, question that. Not that that's not a very noble gesture or concept, but, age 26, how is he going to understand that he's done, get it all out of his system? He then even said that he's never told this to anybody, that he'd like to take on the world of MMA, that he would like to go to UFC pretty much after all that. And that went everywhere. So I'm all in on that. What did you think of that, Ariel?
So, and by the way, I'm happy you mentioned that because we wrote about it on .com, and it made headlines everywhere. So, again, there's an opportunity really to shed a light on these guys. I don't believe that he is going to retire at 26. You hear this from fighters all the time, especially ones who are that talented as he is. And, he hasn't taken a lot of damage throughout his career. Of course, the next few years can change. And quite frankly, there's more money for him to be made. Like the boxing model lends itself to make more money. Witness the fact that Conor made the most amount of money in his career when he fought Mayweather that one time. So I think that Ryan Garcia is a master promoter. He's a very bright young man. He's incredible box office. He's got the look. He's got the fighting style. He's got the nationality. He's got the people behind him. All that stuff. Why would you leave and go to a sport that you don't know anything about? You don't have the ground skills. You don't have the wrestling. You don't have the jiu-jitsu. You're doing well in boxing, and you're going to continue to do well, and you're making a boatload of money. So I think he's involved in a bit of a war with Oscar De La Hoya, his promoter. Part of this, I think, is him needling him a little bit. I would be shocked. I'm not trying to suggest he was disingenuous to you, but I would be very surprised if this happens.
No, look, Ariel, I'm not above being used in some sort of fight between all world famous boxer and all world famous boxer turned promoter. I have no problem being used like that as long as they spell my name right. 2 Eisen, Rich and Eisen. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. The longtime New York Knicks fan, they can throw that in comments as well.
I got to tell you, now, Ariel,
you got to say. Thank you.
No,
yep.
I will say this. As you know, I despise the owner with a fury of 1,000 suns. Actually, I'm probably understating the amount of sons with which I hate this man. And maybe it's because the fact that I don't see him smugly sitting there sipping coffee with 2 age-inappropriate ladies on either side, just sitting there and watching the team just be terrible in front of him. But all that said, they are really fun to watch. They are fun to watch, Ariel. So go ahead, you can crow. I'll give you the platform for that. Go for it.
And it's because of one man and one man only, the man who they should have hired 3 coaching hires ago, the great Tom Thibodeau, former Knicks assistant under the great Jeff Van Gundy. They should have hired him when he left Chicago. The hires over the past few years from Fisher to Fizdale, just one mess after the next. Jeff Hornacek as well, of course. He has given this team an identity, of course. Are they missing a lot of parts? Yes. But he's making them play hard as a team. Defense is tremendous. I think they'll be in the mix for the play-in game. Do they make the playoffs? Who knows? But Emmanuel quickly yesterday, 31 points, I believe, off the top of my head. What a great pick that was. And everyone was making fun of the Kentucky Knicks. Well, guess what? The Kentucky Knicks are doing pretty darn well. I believe in New York, and we would like to have you back, Rich. This is perfect.
I don't know.
This is perfect.
I think I torched that bridge like it's over the River Kwai, to be honest with you. I think I blew that thing completely up.
Always a Nick.
No, but I do. But it is weird to see Julius Randle wearing Bernard King's number, but he's been dominant. That's just the only word for him. But they're a better roster. They're better formed. It's not some sort of bizarre mix of kids and veterans that don't work or aren't ready to work together. They're a better team, man. There's no question about it. They are a better team.
I'll put it this way. In 1985, when the Knicks got the first pick in the first ever NBA draft lottery, I believe it was televised on CBS, and there was a shot of the late great Dave DeBusschere going crazy, as you may recall. And I believe it was Pat O'Brien on the broadcast who said, and I quote, "Basketball is back in New York City, my friends." And I'm not talking about that team in Brooklyn. I'm talking about the New York Knickerbockers. basketball is back in New York City, Rich, and we'd love to have you on board.
I know. I appreciate that. Thank you, Ariel. And thanks for the call here. A fun weekend of news and obviously great fights from Fight Island, UFC 257. I'll give you the floor. I can't keep track with everything that's worthy of promoting that you're doing, so go for it before I let you go here.
You don't have to promote anything. I would just ask for one favor over the next few weeks.
Sure.
Can you do me this one favor?
Oh, boy.
I'm assuming you're going to Tampa, right, for the Super Bowl. You're obviously going to be doing a lot of coverage. Can you find a way to mention the fact that the best storyline about this game isn't, Bucs at home, old versus young, Mahomes, Brady. It's the fact that former Montreal Expos draft pick Tom Brady is going up against former Montreal Expos reliever son, Patrick Mahomes Sr.'s son, the great Patrick Mahomes Jr. So if you can find a way to reference, in particular, closer to kickoff on Sunday, a mention of the late, great Montreal Expos, it would warm my heart because, look at us. 16, 17 years after our demise, we're still relevant. Tom Brady was drafted by the Expos back in the day, right?
You're actually teaching me something new. I did not know that.
Well, there you go. Very quickly, Frank Robinson, 2004, spring training. I went to spring training as a student in Melbourne, Florida. I wrote a fake letter to the Expos, and I asked them if I can cover them in their final season. I was a student at Syracuse University. No one was applying for credentials, so they said, sure. And I wrote in my journal, I went back and found it at my parents' house, Frank Robinson, the late, great Frank Robinson, in the dugout eating popcorn with a young Pat Mahomes who was there because his dad was trying out for the team as a reliever, and all these years later, look at this. So a lot of Montreal Expos love. If you could just throw it in there, I'd be forever in debt.
Somewhere, Warren Cromartie is beaming. Ariel, thank you for dropping that knowledge right here on the show. How about that? Steve Rogers, somewhere. Hold on. I got to get another good one right here. Larry Parrish, Chris Spire, Tim Wallach. My God, how could I forget about Tim? We're all beaming for you. So I'll try that one on for size. Thanks for downloading me with that. You take care of yourself, brother.
You too.
At Ariel Helwani on both Twitter and Instagram, the host of Ariel and the Bad Guy on ESPN Plus and the MMA show, his podcast, Ariel Helwani here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.